This is the Tuesday, November 9th edition of Slow Home Studio.
My name is John Brown and this is Matthew North, and in today's online workshop we're going to be answering a question that arose from last Wednesday's Design Minute discussion about my back deck.
And so the question came from Catherine from Edmonton, and she wrote, I really like the deck design at John Brown's townhouse and was wondering what types of wood you guys have used. It looked like there were different types, some red and some black. My husband built us a deck 2 years ago, and it hasn't weathered very well at all, and I don't want to do any more outside work until I know what would stand up in our climate.
And actually that is a problem because we both live in very harsh climates, and if you don't get the right kind of wood, and if you don't finish it in the right kind of way, then you can obviously end up in some real problems. So just to bring everybody up to speed, in case you didn't happen to see the Design Minute, maybe go back and watch it after this episode. This is actually the back, one of the stills from the image, and you can see the back deck. And there are indeed two kinds of wood. There is an oiled mahogany in on the deck surface here and on this sidewalk there, and then there is a black stained cedar that we've used as the surface on the two vertical surfaces on the walls. Yeah. There's a closer in with an artfully placed robin's egg blue watering can, and then this is the back deck where you can see those two surfaces coming together there and there.
Yeah, and I think the red and the black actually go really well together. I mean, this is your house, I think. It looks really, it's a nice combination of woods. This is a really interesting question because this is actually something that has taken us a long time to figure out. I mean, we made a lot of mistakes at the beginning too, speccing the wrong type of wood.
One at my house.
Yes, and the wood to avoid, at least in Alberta, is Douglas fir as a decking material because it does not weather very well. It splits in our climate. Cedar, on the other hand, is really good, and the one that we've started using more recently is mahogany, and that one has worked really well. However, the trick that we've learned is you have to specify the right type of cedar and the right type of mahogany, and you have to finish it correctly. So cedar comes, and I've got props today, so I'm all excited. It comes as planks, so this is a plank, a solid piece, and then you can also get cedar in tongue and groove format, and this is a piece of tongue and groove.
If you're using it for a wall.
Yeah, so this would be for siding on a house or also for like a side wall or a deck, like a closure panel. And this is a tongue and groove, and it fits together. And with cedar, there are a whole bunch of different finishes you can put on it. The one that we recommend is by Sikkens, that's the company, and Cetal's the brand, and you can get a transparent stain which allows the grain of the wood to come through. And this is a black stain. It's actually ebony. So that's what John actually used on his wall. And this is 3 coats. And the trick of that is you actually have to coat all the surfaces before you install it. That really helps it stand up to the weather. So you actually put a pre-coat all the way around it, even on the backside of a fence or of a wing
Always
wall.
a good idea to have the installer pre-coat everything on the ground before it gets installed, do one coat. The reason that you want to do that is that you want to seal the back side so that you don't start to get warpage, because it will warp if one side is not finished the same as the other. Once you get one coat on, then it's fine. Put it up, you can nail through it, all the rest, and then do 2 more finish coats.
Yeah, and then there's some other options too with cedar. It's really interesting. They've now got a range of solid stains, and this is actually one that is there's a whole bunch of colors, and you can apply this. This is a 1-coat application, believe it or not. It's 1 thick coat that goes on, and it covers the grain. But that would be if you want something that has a bit more of a color finish. And then the other option is, this is kind of a small piece, but it's a gray finish. It's called Cape Cod Gray, and it's supposed to look like weathered cedar. So if you want the cedar to look, cedar in sunlight goes sort of that silvery color over time. If you want the cedar to look like that, you can actually apply this finish to it, and it makes it have that sort of weathered sort of finish. And then for the mahogany is different. This is mahogany, and it doesn't actually get stained, it gets oiled. And what you have to do is every year, as you know, there's a maintenance agreement that you have with mahogany when you build a mahogany deck, and that is that you have to, in the springtime, clean it. There's a special cleaner. It's called Mesmers, and you apply it, and you scrub it down, and then you apply it's an oil. It's a UV protecting oil, and that it's almost like a boat. Like you almost have to think about it in the same way that you would think about a boat, because it needs that sort of maintenance. So you have to make that decision, because if you want the look of mahogany, because it is a beautiful product, then you have to accept the fact that in our climate, and pretty much any climate, you're going to have to maintain it yearly. The cedar, on the other hand, is more durable. So the finish can last up to 5 years on cedar.
And just to conclude the discussion, because it's not all just technical, if we go back to the images of my deck, let me get rid of these scribbles. We made the decision when we were designing this to have 2 different colors, because there's actually a fair bit of wood here, and when we were thinking about doing it either all in mahogany or all in black or all in a solid, it just didn't really make much sense. And so, just like as we were talking about the paint in the design project from a little while ago, we want to think about adding stain and material choices to emphasize the volumetric clarity of the overall project. And so, for example, here we have the deck surface. All the horizontal surfaces are one material, and then the vertical surfaces, both sides and the top all the way around, are then clad in the cedar and stained in a dark material.
And I think that's really nice, because your window trim actually is a black,
black
as well, so it kind of, the black kind of folds into that wall where the actual windows and doors are, and it really ties it all together. It looks really tight.
That's very true, and we'll be seeing in a future design minute coming up, we'll talk a little bit more about the connection between the outside of this, the outside living space, and the inside living space on the inside. And I'll give you a hint that we've actually carried that dark stained mahogany, or cedar rather, into the fireplace on the inside wall over there. But that's coming up in a couple of weeks.
Yeah.
So I think that's about it for stains and decks in the Alberta climate. And stay tuned, and we will see you again tomorrow.
See you tomorrow.